Alright, folks, so I'm going to give my analysis of this famous scene, really infamous scene, I should really say, from Braveheart. I'm assuming everyone watching this has seen the movie by now, so no need for spoilers. I mean, it came out in 1995, so, you know, I think everyone's seen this scene before. But, we have medieval London with all the guards on duty and all this sort of thing, and the stone buildings. That's not really too bad. There's a lot worse historical crimes in this movie, believe me. So it looks kind of somewhat realistic, I suppose. Oh boy, am I in for it. That's the look on his face here. I love the fact that both Prince Edward and King Edward are portrayed by Irish actors, incidentally. It's meant to be the King of England and the King of, the Prince of England. And both actors are Irish because they moved to production to Ireland, because filming in Scotland was too expensive. I guess they figured that no one would really notice.
It's not your fault. Stand up to him.
I will stand up to him and more.
What they're talking about is the defeat of the English at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Emphasis on the word bridge, by the way. The bridge was the whole point. But he's saying it's not your fault. Well, it wasn't him that lost the battle. He wasn't there, but, should be on it. He shouldn't be walking around the castle with his boyfriend, trying on clothes. Let's just put it that way. And we have the three lines. Incidentally, it's not three lions, it's three leopards. It was a tour guide in Edinburgh, actually, who taught me that. And there's even a case that they're actually dragons. Either way, But why is it all kind of rotted away like that, Why haven't they renewed the banners? Just let it decay in the weather. It's kind of a small thing, but, this is the King's Royal Standard. You're just going to let it rot? That's a good way to get yourself beheaded. Talk about a long ass wait, man. When you're sitting in the principal's office, just waiting for him to come back. I don't know why this guy's looking so cocky. Because the prince here is looking terrified. He's not looking like he's comfortable at all. Look, he's even heavy breathing, he's exhaling. This is really good acting, by the way, by the actor. I don't know his name, but I think he did a really good job in this film. He's not really up to this, to being the prince or being the king, This is not him. It's just not his personality. But you can see him like almost hyperventilating at this point. By the way, I don't think the real King Edward II was actually anything like that at all, but, Braveheart's not exactly known for its accuracy, let's face it. Isn't that a badass costume? It looks great, doesn't it? They got his costume right, I'll say that, with the mail and the pauldrons on the shoulders, and he just looks the part. Patrick McGowan, check out the TV series The Prisoner if you can get it on YouTube. I don't know if it's still available. That reminds me, I never finished The Prisoner. I started watching it, but I never finished it. I got to, I think, episode 12 or something. I need to finish that. That was based on the recommendation of Michael Tazarian, incidentally. But I'll need to finish that series if it's still up on YouTube. Great actor as well. Like I said, he's actually Irish. And according to Mel Gibson, he turned down the role of James Bond. That's on the movie commentary. But he does a really good job in this movie. You just feel his presence. Stephen Delane did a good job as well in Outlaw King, but, you can feel how scary it would be to be in the same room as this guy and he's pissed off at you, No wonder his son's hyperventilating.
What news of the North?
Nothing.
Notice he can barely get the words out. He's stuttering and stammering and shitting himself, basically. Not that I blame him. I would be too.
Nothing new, Your Majesty. We've sent riders to speed any word.
Look at that look in his face. Oh, not him. Hang on. I'll go back a little bit.
Word.
Look at the look on his face. Like, what the fuck are you so cheerful about? You'd think nothing had happened. Look at that look. Is it any wonder he gets thrown out the window? Like I said, I think everyone's seen this movie by now, but talk about Captain Smug. What the fuck have you got to be so cheerful about?
I heard the word in France, where I was fighting to expand your future kingdom.
Incidentally, King Edward, he was descended from the Angevin line. He was actually the Duke of Gascony, which is in the southwest of France.
The word, my son, is that our entire northern army is annihilated.
Look at that. Look at his facial expressions. Like, he doesn't even know what to say. He's literally speechless. Literally. Like, what the fuck do I even say to that?
And you have done nothing.
Oh, what's it like? Oh, what happened? And he's looking at his boyfriend like, say something, man.
I have ordered conscriptions. They're assembled and ready to depart.
What's this look in his face like? Oh, see, that's you told. Talk about a cocky bastard, you know? Is it any wonder he gets thrown out the window? There's nothing to do with him being gay, by the way. It's because he's a smug prick.
Excuse me, sire, but there's a very urgent message from York.
This was based on something that really happened, but it was different in real life. At the Battle of Bagar, King Edward's nephew snuck into the party with the emissaries to deliver the king's terms to Wallace. Now, Wallace had a lieutenant called Jop, who used to be one of the right-hand men for King Edward, but he switched sides when Wallace rose to prominence. And so, because he'd been close to the king, this guy Jop, you know, when he saw the king's nephew, he told Wallace that's his nephew, and that broke like protocols. So Wallace beheaded him, and the other two emissaries, he ripped the tongue out of one and burned the eyes out of the other one, and told him to go back to the king and throw his nephew's head at his feet and say, "That's what I think of him." In other words, it was a massive fuck you. But that's what that's based on. And I think it was Wallace playing head games to try and get in his head before the Battle of Bagar. And it worked as well. The Scots ended up winning that battle. Look at the look in his face. He knows what's in that basket. You can tell. The smell alone would have given it away. He's not looking too comfortable. I don't think anyone could look more uncomfortable than Prince Edward, but he's not looking too comfortable at all. Wait till you see this.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, get the fuck out, man. No one to leave.
Wallace has sacked York.
Like that little kind of micro expression, like, what? Really?
Wallace has sacked York.
This is so... I can see why people took real offense at this movie, especially people from the homosexual community or LGBT or whatever. I mean, I don't discriminate against anyone, you know, do as you will. But, you know, you can see how people thought that this portrayal of Prince Edward, the future king, Edward II, was so stereotypical. And it really is. It's very cartoonish. This whole movie's very cartoonish in its approach. You know, like I said, the real King Edward II was nothing like this. He was rumored to have been bisexual, but let's face it, that was probably not as uncommon as you might think. He just couldn't be open about it back then. But you know, you can kind of see where people, you know, think this is a little bit overboard, portraying the prince the way that he's portrayed as this effeminate, stereotypical homosexual, and it is pretty offensive, let's be honest. It's well over the top. But everything about this movie is over the top. It's kind of a plus and a minus, you know. That sure is one way to send a message.
Oh, nephew.
And it was his own nephew who Wallace beheaded, but as I said, under very different circumstances than this. It was actually worse in real life.
Do such a thing.
If he can sack York, he can invade your England.
Incidentally, Wallace did take York, but he didn't sack it. The way it really went down is that, the Scots were trying to attack the city. The English were defending it very stubbornly, and they just agreed to surrender, basically. And they flew the banner of Scotland on top of the wall for a few hours to signify that the Scots had won the battle, but they'd never sacked York. The defenders at York voluntarily surrendered, as was the case in a lot of sieges. It was just a negotiation. It was war as a business, as Smedley Butler likes to point out. But the defenders at York volunteered to surrender, and as a result, the Scots never sacked the city at all. So it went down quite differently in real life.
We would stop him.
Who is this person who speaks to me as though I needed his advice?
Yeah, exactly. Know when to shut the fuck up. Look at this face here. He knows he's fucked up. He knows he should have shut up. Especially after the king's got bad news that his nephew's been killed and York has been lost. This is not the time to act all smug and superior. Because if you do, what happens to this guy might just happen to you. Don't push people when they're in a negative frame of mind. Let the situation breathe a little bit. And look how he's jumping up to try and defend his boyfriend.
I have declared Philip my High Counselor.
Oh, he's so proud of that. And look at his face. Like, really? We'll fucking see about that.
Is he qualified?
Is he qualified? I love the way he says that.
I am skilled in the arts of war and military tactics, sir.
Yeah, you shouldn't have said that. He knows what's going to happen here. Or he has a very good idea.
Are you?
Oh, I love this look. He just looks so psychotic here, doesn't he? You can just see in his face what he's going to do. You can see it in his eyes. He looks like an angry lion. Who's caught the scent of blood. Are you? Just at that point, I would be scared for my life.
And tell me.
Like I said, Patrick McGoohan, he just, his is the real standout performance of this movie. He just chews this role brilliantly. He's such a great actor. I don't think he's alive anymore, but he was such a great actor, Patrick McGoohan.
What advice would you offer on the present situation?
Well, that's what you get for mouthing off with the king when he's in a bad mood and acting all smug and superior. Like I said, it has nothing to do with him being gay. I don't think he even cared about that. It was more to do with his attitude. You just don't, act like that around the king. And as Mel Gibson pointed out in a commentary, that's called defenestration, when you get thrown out of a window. I love all these guards. It's just like, what the fuck? And they look up, it's like, oh, okay. I think they know instantly what happened. Oh, alright. Somehow I get the impression that this has happened before. Somehow. I don't know if it happened on a daily basis, but it's not the first time. Oh, okay, we know what happened. This pisses him off. Probably one of the very few times in the movie where we see Prince Edward showing any balls, as it were. Like, bitch, you gonna fucking come at me with a knife? Just totally bitch slapped him. Backhanded him down to the floor. Anyone else, by the way, and they would be executed for that. Just want to point out. A good shot to the ribs. Make sure he knows his place. So what's it he's meant to have here, incidentally? He's meant to have tuberculosis or something like that, or pneumonia, perhaps. That wouldn't be uncommon.
shall offer a truce and buy him off. But who will go to him? Not I. If I fell under the sword of that murderer, it might be my head in a basket.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go face Wallace. He didn't want to in real life either. When Wallace invaded after the Battle of Stirling Bridge, he got within 25 miles. He got to St. Albans, just outside London. And none of the English lords wanted to go face him, including the king. You know, because England just burned down the whole fucking country, basically. Put the whole damn country to the sword. But you never read about that. But yeah, he wasn't going to put his own neck on the line.
Not my gentle son. The mere sight of him would only encourage an enemy to take over the whole country.
Jeez, that's savage. That is straight out savage. I love that. In the movie, it's like he has to think about who he's going to send. In real life, it was that no one wanted to go. That's why. And incidentally, it wasn't the prince's wife who went to meet Wallace in real life. It was his wife, Queen Margaret of France, when she was about 18 years old. She volunteered to go meet Wallace because none of the English lords or earls or barons or anyone in the English royal court wanted to go face Wallace. She had to volunteer. I wonder why, because at this time, you know, Wallace was in his mid to late 20s. She was 18, and Edward was in his late 50s, I think, or early 60s, around about that time. So yeah, I think we can understand why she volunteered. I don't think I need to spell it out.
Whom I send?
I like that. This is great acting here from Patrick McGowan, isn't it? With his narrowing his eyes, thinking deeply, who could I send? Who could I send? And of course, he sends his daughter-in-law, but in real life, it was his wife, like I said. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this.